To move through the world as though you are the best is not an act of vanity, it is an act of strategy. Virtue, the art of seizing and shaping power, demands posture as much as purpose. The man who believes himself second best cedes advantage before the contest begins. He yields the field of perception, and those who grasp the stage first will command it. If you wish to win influence, to bend events toward your will, you must learn to carry yourself without apology, to perform excellence until excellence becomes the fate that others assign you. This is not falsehood, it is selection. Choose the behavior that produces the world you intend to live in. Begin with your bearing. The body is the first language we ever speak. A sure step, a calm gaze, a voice that does not plead but states. These are instruments of authority. People read confidence faster than competence. They will follow posture before proofs. So take the space you deserve. Stand as if your presence is a fact of nature. When you enter a room, do not apologize with rushed steps or tentative glances. Move as one who expects precedence, and others will often elect to grant it. This is not mere showmanship. It is a tactic that shifts the currents of ambition. 1. The command of perception. Perception is not decoration. It is the battlefield itself. Men do not see reality as it is, but as it is presented to them, and whoever masters that presentation becomes the unseen author of destiny. A prince may lack brilliance, yet if he cloaks himself in the aura of decisiveness, the world will lean toward his choices as if they were fate itself. People are drawn not to truth, but to conviction, not to substance, but to the appearance of substance. Therefore, if you would act as if you are the best, you must control the stage on which power performs. Every gesture, every pause, every word must be deliberate. Your clothes must announce authority before your mouth opens. Your eyes must hold steadiness, even when your mind wrestles with uncertainty. If doubt gnaws at your soul, let it remain in the shadows of your private chambers. To reveal it openly is to hand your enemies the very rope with which they will strangle you. The weak man displays his fear, the strong man buries it, and the wise man transforms it into fuel for action. In speech, economy is superiority. The man who fills silence with nervous chatter exposes his insecurity. The man who allows silence to bend around him becomes the center of gravity in every room. Speak as though each word is a coin minted from your treasury, heavy, counted, irreplaceable. People do not remember the rambling of the uncertain. They remember the cadence of certainty, the weight of words delivered with composure. Even when you err, frame the mistake as deliberate evolution, not failure, but refinement. Tell the story before others tell it for you. When you fall, let it be a lesson mastered. When you rise, let it be a natural expectation fulfilled. Reputation is not built from facts, but from narratives, and the story you tell about yourself becomes the scaffolding upon which others climb to measure their respect for you.
Respect is constructed, brick by brick, from the consistency of your posture, the courage of your timing, and the performance of competence even when chaos surrounds you. Men admire what they cannot easily shake, and they follow what they quietly fear to oppose. If you stand unwavering, they will eventually bend around you like water flowing against stone. Thus, to act as if you are the best is not to shout your greatness, but to embody it until resistance becomes pointless. Consistency makes you predictable in strength. Courage proves you unbreakable in trial, and efficiency demonstrates you worthy of command. Combine these three, and the rest will follow, for men will sooner trust the steady hand than the trembling one, even if the steady hand leads them into storms. 2. The economy of desire. Desire is the invisible currency of human interaction, and whoever learns to control its flow becomes the banker of relationships. Men who burn with want are always at the mercy of those who can appear satisfied. To act as though you are the best, you must position yourself not as the seeker, but as the prize. This is the essence of power. He who is pursued dictates the terms of pursuit. When you carry yourself as though you require nothing, others instinctively attempt to offer everything. This is not arrogance, it is leverage, the art of letting others reveal the depths of their hunger while you remain still, detached, and therefore unassailable. The one who desires less automatically sets the pace of the negotiation, while the one who desires more inevitably shows his hand, overextends, and grows weaker with every step. The practical weapon of this principle is scarcity. What is abundant is ignored. What is rare is fought over. Do not be endlessly available. Do not allow your words to spill without measure. And do not make your presence something that can be summoned at will. Restrict yourself with intent. Speak less than you know. Answer later than expected, and vanish when others assume you will appear. This is not cruelty nor unnecessary aloofness, but the deliberate cultivation of value. Just as gold gains its price by its rarity, so too does a man who acts with restraint increase the demand for his presence. The world does not admire what it has too easily. It admires what it must qualify itself to obtain. Be that rare resource. Do not shout your worth. Force others to prove themselves worthy of your attention. Scarcity's true strength, however, is when it is paired with mystery. People cannot help but chase what they cannot fully see. If you reveal every thought, every plan, every desire, you strip yourself bare and allow others to calculate your price. But if you conceal your full intentions, leaving only fragments for the world to interpret, you will be multiplied by imagination. Men will overestimate both your power and your ambition, filling in the blanks with their own fears. And fear, once seated, is more valuable than explanation. A closed fist glinting with gold is more intimidating than an open hand overflowing with coins, because uncertainty magnifies perception. Control what people know of you. Give them light where you want their eyes, and shadow where you need their ignorance. In this balance of revelation and concealment, you will master the economy of desire and bend it to your rule.
3. The discipline of standards. To act as if you are the best, you must live by standards that separate you from the common herd. Standards are not ornaments for display. They are the invisible architecture of greatness. The man without standards accepts anything, tolerates everything, and eventually becomes nothing. But the man who enforces standards builds a fortress around his name. Decide what you will accept in yourself and from others, and enforce these limits with the firmness of law. Do not bend to laziness, do not excuse mediocrity, and do not permit the undisciplined to dilute your circle. A leader who allows weakness to nest within his walls is already conquered from within. The world respects the man who demands excellence, because such demands prove he first imposed them upon himself. Standards are visible in ritual, in the small daily acts that others often overlook. How you rise in the morning, how you prepare your body, how you conduct your work, how you order your surroundings. Each of these are declarations of self-rule. If you carry yourself with precision, people assume you command precision in all things. If your words match your deeds, and your deeds match your reputation, people will conclude that your superiority is not an accident, but a design. This is why men of high stature enforce discipline not for vanity, but because consistency is a language that even enemies understand. To keep your standards is to train others in how they must approach you. They learn quickly. Here is a man who will not bend to the ordinary. Enforcing standards requires courage because it often demands sacrifice. You will lose allies, dismiss friends, and abandon comforts. Yet these sacrifices are the cost of being treated as the best. A man who keeps everyone, who tolerates incompetence, signals that he values comfort over excellence. But the man who prunes his garden, removing the weeds with decisive cuts, demonstrates that he values his legacy above his convenience. Do not confuse cruelty with clarity. The hand that disciplines may appear harsh, but in time it will be seen as the hand that preserved the value of the whole. Those who remain in your company after you enforce your standards will be stronger, more loyal, and more capable. They will lift you higher precisely because you refuse to allow weakness to anchor you down. Your standards are the invisible crown you wear. They set you apart without the need for proclamation. People may not always like you for them, but they will respect you because of them. And respect is the foundation of power. To act as if you are the best is not merely to appear confident, it is to enforce the conditions that make confidence real. When others see that you demand from yourself what you demand from them, they will believe that you are worthy of command. The world does not follow the indulgent, it follows the disciplined, and in this discipline lies the enduring proof that you are, indeed, set apart. 4. The art of calculated boldness. Fortune does not favor the timid. It bends, instead, to those who dare to seize it with calculated boldness. Boldness is not the recklessness of gamblers who throw themselves against fate without foresight. It is the deliberate audacity of men who have studied the field, measured the risks, and then struck with such speed and certainty that hesitation itself becomes their weapon. To act as if you are the best is to cultivate this rare mixture: prudence in preparation, audacity in execution. While others drown in endless debate, you move. While rivals hesitate, you commit. And in that moment of decisive motion, you gain an advantage that sheer resources or intellect alone could never give you.
Boldness terrifies because it exposes the cowardice of the many. The majority of men live paralyzed by what if. They are ruled by imagined dangers, by the fear of loss, by the weight of consequences that may never arrive. When you act with bold precision, you reveal their weakness in contrast to your certainty. They admire you, even as they resent you, because you embody the courage they cannot summon. But boldness must never be mistaken for impulse. The reckless man exhausts himself in grand gestures that collapse under their own emptiness. The truly bold man, however, plans silently, arranges contingencies, prepares exits, and only then strikes as though guided by destiny itself. To the world it looks like fearlessness. In truth, it is strategy concealed beneath courage. A single calculated risk, well-timed, can redefine how the world perceives you. It magnifies your reputation beyond the measure of your actual resources. Even a man of modest means who dares greatly, with foresight, will be seen as larger than he is. This is the essence of boldness. Not just to achieve an immediate victory, but to expand the aura of inevitability around you. People begin to believe that your hand always finds a way to win. They stop questioning your worthiness, and they start questioning their own resistance. Boldness becomes self-perpetuating, because perception of strength breeds submission to strength. Yet remember, boldness must be rationed like fire. A single decisive blaze can warm an empire. Unchecked flames consume the very foundation you build upon. Do not grow drunk on constant risk-taking. Let your bold strikes be rare enough to shock and memorable enough to linger. Between them, practice patience,
caution and discipline, so that when you move, the contrast between your restraint and your audacity makes the strike feel legendary. In this balance lies the true art, boldness that is not wasted as performance, but invested as transformation. 5. Commanding networks. No man, however brilliant, rises alone. Power is not only the sum of your abilities, but the reflection of the network that surrounds and sustains you. To act as if you are the best, you must command the loyalty, ambition, and admiration of others, shaping them into an extension of your will. A solitary genius can be forgotten, but a man who controls a web of allies, clients, and confidants becomes indispensable. This is why the wise cultivate relationships as a ruler cultivates a garden, not through sentiment, but through design. Each connection must serve a purpose. Some provide protection, others information, others the force to act when action is required. To command networks is not to hoard acquaintances, but to curate them into a structure that magnifies your power. Understand that men bind themselves through need and through obligation. Therefore, give selectively so that each gift becomes a chain. A small favor at the right moment may tie a man to you for life, while lavish generosity without calculation will only breed ingratitude. Public rewards should be visible, grand enough to inspire imitation, while private favors should be precise, unforgettable, and quietly binding. In this way, you construct a hierarchy of loyalty around yourself, where every man feels he owes you something and fears the loss of your approval. But be careful. To give everything to everyone is to give yourself away. Make your favors scarce, so that they are sought after like treasure. This scarcity elevates your name and forces others to compete for your recognition.
A true network is not a crowd, but an engine. Its purpose is not applause, but leverage. When your network speaks in unison, it amplifies your image. When it whispers strategically, it confuses your rivals. Do not allow your allies to grow too powerful without your hand guiding them, and never allow one voice to dominate the chorus. Rotate their privileges, balance their ambitions, and play them against one another so that their survival depends on your stability. This is not cruelty, it is maintenance. Just as a gardener prunes to keep a tree healthy, you must shape your circle so that no single branch grows thick enough to threaten the trunk. And remember, appearances of unity matter more than unity itself. Even when disputes exist beneath the surface, present the world with the image of cohesion. A divided house invites attack. A united front, even if only for display, deters aggression. Control the flow of information so that allies do not become liabilities, and let outsiders see only what you wish them to see. Your network should act as both shield and weapon, protecting you from direct attack while extending your reach into places your hand alone cannot enter. This is how great men endure, not by standing alone in brilliance, but by weaving others into the fabric of their destiny.
6. The silence of restraint. The man who acts as if he is the best must understand the paradox of power. Not everything must be said, and not every opportunity must be seized. Machiavelli knew that rulers are destroyed as often by their words as by their enemies' weapons. A reckless tongue reveals strategy, exposes weaknesses, and creates promises that bind the speaker more than they bind the listener. Silence, however, is a weapon disguised as emptiness. To restrain your words is to deny others access to your mind, forcing them to guess, to imagine, to interpret. Men fear what they cannot read. They will project strength upon you when you give them no words to measure, and they will respect the discipline that separates you from the impulsive chatter of the ordinary. Restraint is not weakness, it is mastery. The man who blurts his anger appears fragile. The man who reveals his plans appears naive, and the man who speaks endlessly appears desperate to be understood. The strong know when to withhold. They let others speak themselves into foolishness while they watch, silent, calculating. In negotiations, the man who speaks less always holds the upper hand, because silence creates pressure. The other party scrambles to fill the void, and in their desperation they reveal their true desires. Thus, silence becomes a trap. It makes men expose themselves without realizing they have done so. A single word spoken at the right moment, sharp and deliberate, then carries the weight of thunder. Restraint also shields you from the chaos of emotion. Anger, jealousy, fear, these are storms that destroy judgment when expressed too quickly. To act as if you are the best, you must demonstrate mastery not only over others, but over yourself. Hold back your fury until it serves a purpose. Conceal your fears until the battle has passed. Reveal nothing of your inner turmoil to those who would use it against you. Even in moments of deep conflict, the silent man appears untouchable, as though he knows more than he does, as though his calm hides a greater plan. And often, that perception alone is enough to bend the will of others. Remember this truth: men often regret words spoken, but rarely words withheld. By practicing restraint, you give yourself the gift of time. Time to think, time to observe, time to maneuver. Silence keeps your enemies guessing, makes your allies respect your control, and leaves the impression that you move on a level above ordinary men. In the theater of power, where every word is currency, the man who can hold his tongue holds the world.
7. The theater of confidence. Confidence is not merely a trait, it is a performance. Machiavelli understood that rulers were actors upon the stage of politics, and those who played their roles with conviction bent the crowd to their will. To act as if you are the best, you must treat every moment as theater. The posture of your body, the steadiness of your gaze, the clarity of your speech, all of these are lines in the play you present to the world. Even if you feel doubt burning in the silence of your own thoughts, you must never allow that fire to leak into your performance. For men cannot see your mind, they only see what you present. If you project confidence, they will assume competence. If you project hesitation, they will assume weakness. Understand this truth. People do not follow the most intelligent man, nor the most moral, nor even the most capable. They follow the man who appears most certain. Certainty creates gravity. It pulls others into orbit. In politics, in business, in war, the confident man wins not because he is always correct, but because he makes others believe correction is unnecessary. Confidence repeated long enough hardens into perception, and perception, as we have seen, rules the world. This is why even the wisest leaders rehearse their confidence. It is not dishonesty, but strategy. For the man who appears unsure gives his enemies weapons and his allies excuses to abandon him. Confidence must extend beyond words into action. The man who hesitates loses twice, once in the opportunity missed and again in the respect forfeited. Decide swiftly and stand by your decisions, for indecision is poison to authority. Even if the outcome is imperfect, men will remember your resolve more than your errors. The crowd forgives failure more easily than cowardice, because failure can be excused by fate, while cowardice can only be blamed on the man himself. Act boldly, and others will excuse your missteps as the cost of greatness.
Act timidly, and no success will ever erase the memory of your weakness. But remember, confidence is theater, not arrogance. Arrogance alienates, while confidence attracts. The arrogant man demands worship, while the confident man inspires it. Arrogance speaks too loudly of its own power, while confidence lets power speak for itself. The distinction is subtle, but crucial. True theater is not about screaming your greatness. It is about making others feel, without words, that greatness surrounds you. A man who masters this theater no longer has to say, "I am the best." The world says it for him.
This mask does not mean cold detachment, but strategic concealment. Show enough humanity to remain relatable, but never reveal the fractures that could be exploited. If you are insulted, smile as though it has no effect. If you suffer loss, carry yourself as though the setback were already calculated. If you are betrayed, act as though you expected it all along. This is not denial, it is dominance. For the man who appears invulnerable is often believed to possess secret reserves of strength, even when he does not. And that belief alone is enough to make others hesitate, to restrain their aggression, to think twice before striking. Consider how animals test one another. The lion does not roar when struck. He waits, watching until the time to strike arrives. The mask of invulnerability works the same way. Your silence, your composure, your refusal to reveal inner turmoil, these unsettle the ambitious and weaken the hostile. They begin to wonder, if he does not react, what else does he know? What strength does he hide? The imagination of others becomes your greatest ally, for it will always paint your armor thicker than it truly is. Yet behind the mask, you must still address your weaknesses privately. The wise man repairs what is broken, strengthens what is fragile, and prepares for the battles ahead. But he does so in secret, for to the world he must remain untouchable, as if fate itself cannot reach him. This is the paradox of power. You are vulnerable, but you must act as if you are not. And in acting so, you transform perception into protection, and protection into reality. For the man who convinces the world that he cannot be broken is already halfway beyond their reach. 9. The ritual of victory. To act as if you are the best, you must not only win, you must display your victories in a way that others cannot ignore. Machiavelli observed that power is not secured by triumph alone, but by the ritualization of triumph. Victories, when celebrated with precision, become stories that outlive the moment, shaping reputation long after the event itself is forgotten. A man who wins quietly risks being overlooked. A man who wins strategically ensures that the echo of his success resounds in the minds of allies and rivals alike. This is why rulers built monuments, held parades, and commissioned chronicles, not merely to mark achievement, but to transform victory into legend. Your personal victories, no matter their scale, must also be ritualized. When you succeed, do not boast. Let others speak of your accomplishment. Provide them with symbols, gestures, or narratives that make your triumph easy to repeat. The art of victory lies not in declaring, "I have won," but in orchestrating circumstances so that others are compelled to repeat the same truth on your behalf. People trust what they hear from the crowd more than from the lips of the victor. Thus cultivate rituals that magnify your success. A decisive handshake, a calm smile, a quiet withdrawal from the scene once the outcome is settled. These details become the fabric of myth. A ritual of victory also disciplines the victor himself. Many men destroy themselves not in defeat, but in triumph, intoxicated by success, careless in their pride. The wise man understands that each victory is not an ending, but a signal to begin the next campaign. He celebrates only enough to mark the moment, then returns to preparation.
To act as if you are the best, you must treat victory as ordinary, expected, even inevitable. This attitude unsettles opponents, for nothing is more intimidating than a man who wins without surprise, as if victory were his natural state.
But never confuse ritual with arrogance. The arrogant man turns every success into spectacle, draining the dignity from his triumphs and awakening envy in others. The strategic man turns victory into quiet ritual, magnifying his reputation without appearing desperate for attention. He knows that respect is strengthened not by shouting, but by repetition, and each carefully ritualized victory adds another stone to the fortress of his image. In time, even small wins, when consistently ritualized, create the impression of unstoppable dominance. And this impression, once established, ensures that future victories come more easily, for men will yield to the one they already believe cannot be defeated. To act as if you are the best is not a temporary performance, it is a lifelong strategy, a perpetual game in which the stakes are nothing less than reputation, influence, and legacy. Machiavelli understood that power is not a prize to be captured once, but a condition to be maintained, a current to be navigated with constant awareness. Every interaction, every decision, every gesture contributes to the narrative that others will assign to you. To think that superiority is granted once and then permanent is to invite disaster. The world shifts with endless subtlety, and the man who rests on yesterday's triumphs will awaken to find himself irrelevant. Acting as the best demands vigilance, discipline, and an unrelenting commitment to the performance of greatness. Consider life as a game of shadows and mirrors. Each player moves not only for gain, but to test your limits, to probe for weakness, to measure whether your claim to superiority is authentic or ephemeral. In such a game, the one who believes he is best and acts accordingly begins with a decisive advantage. Perception becomes armor, confidence becomes weapon, networks become allies in the silent war of influence. Every choice is both move and statement. The man who hesitates signals doubt. The man who overextends reveals desperation. But the one who moves with deliberate audacity, with careful concealment, with ritualized victories and the mask of invulnerability, shapes the entire field before others even recognize its contours. To act as if you are the best is not arrogance, it is strategy made flesh. It is the acknowledgement that the world is not kind to the timid, and that those who move without certainty will be swept aside. Every action must reinforce the narrative of superiority, the silence that conceals weakness, the boldness that commands attention, the mastery of networks, the ritual of victories, and the unwavering discipline of standards. Let the world believe that you are inevitable, and often inevitability becomes truth. For men tend to bend to what they cannot contest, to yield to the presence of someone who seems untouchable. And yet, remember the subtlety. This game is eternal. There is no final checkmate, no ultimate crown. Each success is the preparation for the next challenge. Each display of power, the stage for the next trial. The truly great man does not rest. He moves with the awareness that his legacy is constructed moment by moment, perception by perception, action by deliberate action. To act as if you are the best is to claim dominion over this process, not by force alone, not by luck alone, but by the relentless cultivation of image, influence, and action. The world will always test you, envy you, and challenge you. It will attempt to diminish what you claim, to question what you display, to ignore what you earn. But the man who lives as if he is the best, who carries confidence, discipline, audacity, and invisibility like armor, transforms perception into power, and power into destiny. Stand as if no one is greater. Speak and act as if your influence is unshakable. Let your victories be ritualized, your silence calculated, your networks loyal. In doing so, you do more than appear supreme. You become a force the world cannot deny, a presence against which ambition hesitates, and a standard by which others measure themselves. The game is eternal, and the best never stops playing.